Ronnie Harrison was injured on the first play of the Jaguars game, and he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So that takes you pretty much through the regular season. It could take you into the playoffs. It just kind of depends, I guess, on how quickly he heals. So he's on IR. It probably says something about the state of this defense. It also says something about Ronnie Harrison. He kind of had elevated himself, in my mind, to like that third guy. So you had Miles, right? Denzel, those guys are in a class by themselves. But then Ronnie Harrison was kind of that third guy that, like, man, the Browns really need this dude. And now they're not going to have him.
Yeah, you know what? It really is unfortunate because he came in there and he solidified the safety position, which has been such a challenged position all season since Grant Delpit went down with the ruptured Achilles tendon in training camp. Ronnie Harrison came in, he nailed the position. He's been playing really well to the point where he had climbed to number 12 in the NFL. According to PFF's grades. So he was number 12. Then you have to go all the way down to the 80s to get to the next Browns safety right now. Carl Joseph is down there somewhere in the 80s. So is Sheldrick Redwine. So is Andrew Zendejo. So this is kind of what we're talking about. He was their best safety. Now, what complicates this is the fact that Denzel Ward is also out right now. Okay. And we already knew Grant was out, Breedy's out. So it's just been one challenge, one injury after another in the defensive backfield. But this is a huge blow to these guys. They did claim another safety, Tedrick Thompson. I doubt he'll be able to play this weekend because of COVID protocols, but there is help on the way. Still, huge blow to lose Ronnie.
Yeah, this is tough. Ronnie, as you guys said, have been stepping up and then really solidifying himself as the go-to safety on this team, a reliable tackler, trustful in man coverage, and knowing where he needs to be in zone. Of course, he's injured on the first play of the game. What stands out to me in the Jaguars game in his absence, where it was noticed right away, I think it was that 44-yard completion to Keelan Cole. It was a deep over route, a crossing route. Cole started on the right side, ended up on the left side, and it looked like the Browns were in a cover 4 quarters coverage. And Carl Joseph, who was filling in the safety spot, just didn't get any depth, meaning he probably had eyes in the backfield and not aware of someone getting behind him. And that went for 44 yards. And when the Jaguars are looking explosive on you, that's a bad sign, especially when you have Tennessee coming up, a team that thrives on play action passing, hitting intermediate routes with Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. And this is the state of the Browns secondary right now. They're just going to have to play with the guys they have and likely lean on the offense. But a team already thin in the secondary lost a guy who was really coming into his own.
And I think they're really going to miss him in these next 2 games, especially because, for the reasons you mentioned, Ellis, too. But, like, when you're playing the Titans, you just need guys to go get Derrick Henry. I mean, you need to have some safeties that can come up and make some plays. And Ronnie was that sort of guy. And really against the Ravens, I'm of the belief that you want every single athlete you can have against the Ravens because they're going to do all the misdirection stuff in the run game. You've got to chase down Lamar Jackson. The more athletes you can have on the field, the better. And he certainly fits that bill. So it's never a good time to lose a guy like this, but I don't have a ton of faith in Carl Joseph and Andrew Zendejo in the run game. And they're really going to need that this week because it takes a committee to bring down Henry.
Ronnie Harrison had gotten to the point where, I really believe that this offseason that they would have, and they still will. This is not going to change that. They're going to extend him. I mean, like he's nailed it. He's a starting safety here for years to come and will pair nicely with Grant Delpit. That's how much they feel about him. That's the high regard they are holding him in. And so it's going to be tough. And as you mentioned, and Carl Joseph, he's more of a box safety. So, you really didn't want to expect him to be, like chasing somebody down on a 46-yard touchdown pass like that and having to be so responsible for that. He's going to have to come up big. He's going to have to come up big this game. So is Andrew. And here's another thing. Sheldrick Redwine missed the last game with a knee injury. So who knows if he'll even be ready to play this game. Now, once again, as I mentioned, they did claim Tedrick Thompson from waivers. I don't know if he'll be able to play this weekend. I'm still working through that. But after this week, I think that he's going to get some significant playing time maybe even some starts if he can get up to speed quickly enough.
Yeah, Mary Kay, you said it. The only silver lining, the only good news in any of this, if that's what we are trying to do here for a second, is that whoever the Browns roll out there as their starting secondary on Sunday in Tennessee, there won't be a single one of those secondary members starting in week 1 of the 2021 season. Now, this team's going to have Ronnie Harrison. This team's going to have Grant Delpit. This team's going to have Denzel Ward. That's the good news, but that doesn't change how week 13 is going to start. And unless players play above expectation, Sandeo had his first pass breakup last week. You just mentioned Sheldrick Redwine, Carl Joseph playing out of his element. Unless these things happen, which seem unlikely, it's going to be tough sledding. But the future is bright for this secondary despite all the injuries.
It is.